Intel's campaign was. Passage C. Paragraph 1. Two scientists made a stunning finding. This is a good teaser introduction. The author doesn't tell us right away what the topic is. In this case, you may want to read another sentence or two to figure out what the finding is. Paragraph 2. The discoveries were made in 1912. This is another reference to the shocking discovery. Paragraph 3. The announcement set off controversy. If you are not sure what the word firestorm means, keep reading. You'll find hints in the next two sentences. Paragraph 4. The public was divided over human origins. Now the author is adding another dimension to the discussion. Often, a passage will introduce a controversy or problem, as is the case here. Paragraph 5. Scopes was a teacher. This sentence appears to be off the topic. We should read another sentence to discover why the author brings up Scopes. Paragraph 6. Lasting effects from the case. Don't be thrown off by the vocabulary. If you are not sure of some of the words in the sentence, read another line or two. The passage makes it clear that the situation lasted for many years. Last sentence. A battle still rages over the subject. The passage ends without a nice resolution. The author indicates that the situation is ongoing. Direction markers. Again, we use boldface for same direction markers and underline opposite direction markers. Although the skull resembled those of other finds, including the famous ape men of Java, the jaw appeared to come from some type of heretofore unknown species. 46. Cracking the TOEFL IBT. The ensuing controversy over human origins eventually led the Times to publish an editorial that cautioned readers from seeing Piltdown Man as the missing link. Instead, the editors advised readers to see Piltdown Man as a link to man's prehistoric past, but not necessarily proof of evolution. Although no fossil could conclusively prove evolution, scientists had amassed a huge collection of fossils in the early 20th century. And even today, the reverberations of the trial are still visible. This passage presents a rather controversial topic. There are two sides to the discussion, and the author indicates them by using the direction markers highlighted above. Main idea. The discovery of fossils that supported evolution led to a battle over the theory of evolution, which continues to this day. This passage is neatly divided into three large areas. The first two paragraphs talk about the discovery, the next two talk about the controversy, and the final two talk about the court case and its effects. Our main idea should touch on each of these topics. Passage D. Paragraph 1. Oral reading is used a lot in schools. This sentence prepares us to read about an educational topic. We'll learn shortly to think about the author's purpose, why the author is writing. The author may want to support oral reading, attack it, or just give a history of it. Did you spot any clues that indicate what this passage will do? Paragraph 2. The history of oral reading is linked to culture. This paragraph discusses the history of oral reading. Paragraph 3. Schools started to use textbooks to teach reading. This continues the history and indicates a change in the way reading was taught. Paragraph 4. The usefulness of oral reading is questioned. The author introduces a problem. Paragraph 5. Changes in research and science. If you're not sure how this sentence fits into the rest of the passage, read another sentence or two. It appears that new research was against oral reading. Paragraph 6. Written books played a role in oral reading. Check the following sentence to see how this fits into the discussion. The author states that silent reading was taking over. Last sentence. Good things about oral reading were never in doubt. This final sentence seems to go against what we've been reading. The last three paragraphs all discuss negative aspects of oral reading. But the author ends on a positive note. To understand this ending, let's check our direction markers. 2. Core concept. Reading 47 direction markers. Again, we use boldface for same direction markers and underline opposite direction markers. Although some recent educational theorists have challenged the efficacy of oral reading, its popularity in schools and classrooms is unchallenged. However, printed books were often scarce, and literacy rates were often low. Thus, families would gather around and listen to a book being read to them. In fact, they concluded that the only time students read orally was in school. For a number of years, oral reading was absent from many a classroom. But in time, new research and studies brought oral reading back to the forefront of education. By looking at these direction markers, you can see that the main idea and the author's purpose becomes much clearer. The author wishes to show how oral reading has persisted despite challenges. This explains why 3 paragraphs discuss negative aspects, but the final sentence is positive. Main idea. Despite challenges to its usefulness, oral reading remains an important educational technique. If your main idea isn't similar to the one above, you may have missed some of the direction markers. This passage isn't presenting oral reading in a negative manner, but rather supporting it. The last sentence of the first paragraph is a very important one. Summary. Stating the main idea. 1. Read the first sentence of each paragraph. State what topic the author is writing about. 2. Skim the rest of the paragraph for direction markers. Pay particular attention to opposite direction markers. 3. Remember to read both the first sentence of each paragraph in the passage and last sentence of the conclusion. The last sentence will contain the author's final point. 4. The main idea should connect all the ideas found in the first sentences of the paragraphs and the last sentence of the conclusion. If you're having trouble connecting all of the topics, ask yourself what the purpose of the passage is to help you put all the pieces together. Step 2. Understand the structure. Once we've found the purpose as discussed in Step 1, we'll have a better idea of the structure of the passage. The structure refers to the organization or layout of the passage. On the TOEFL, different types of questions will address different parts of the passage. If you are familiar with the types of structures on the TOEFL, you'll know where to look to find the information you need. 48. Cracking the TOEFL IBT. What is the structure of a TOEFL passage? On the TOEFL, all passages will follow a very similar structure, which will look like the following. 1. An introduction paragraph that contains the basic topic of the passage. 2. 4 or 5 body paragraphs that provide more information about the topic. 3. A conclusion that brings the passage to a close with a final statement. Let's look at the structure of each of these paragraphs in detail. What is the structure of the introduction? Here's the introduction of a passage you've already read. 1. Sometimes it appears that the human mark on this planet is indelible. 2. In only a blink of geological time, 200 years or so, human construction and expansion has resulted in the destruction of more than 1/5 of the world's forests, the recession of the polar ice caps, and the creation of a huge hole in the ozone layer. 3. Additionally, industrial activity has damaged rivers and oceans, as well as groundwater supplies. 4. Environmental scientists and activists warn that if Earth's future is not taken into account, humankind could very well destroy the planet. Now let's look at this very same paragraph in terms of FITS structure, or what each sentence contributes to the passage. 1. This sentence introduces the topic about which the author is writing. 2. This sentence provides information to support the first sentence. 3. This sentence also provides information to support the first sentence. 4. This sentence uses the information in sentences 1, 2, and 3 to make a point. As you can see, stripping down the paragraph in terms of its structure makes it easier to comprehend. Many of the passages on the TOEFL will conform to this basic structure. That means for our purposes, when reading the introduction, you should proceed as follows. 1. Read the first sentence, and the last sentence, of each paragraph very carefully. They will most likely contain key information about the passage. 2. Skim through the sentences in the middle. They typically contain background information that merely supports the author's first or last sentence. Reading the introduction is helpful for answering questions about the main idea or the primary purpose of the passage. The introduction may also contain background information about the topic, ask a question, or answer a question posed by important details which you'll find in the body paragraphs. 2. Core concept. Reading 49. Drill number 2. Analyze the structure for each of the following introduction paragraphs. Write down what role each sentence plays in the paragraph. Check your answers at the end. Introduction A. 1. Scientists at Michigan State University are asking a most challenging question. 2. Can a computer program be considered alive? 3. The members of the Digital Evolution Laboratory say yes. 4. Computer scientists at the laboratory have created a program called Avita that has intrigued not only scientists and engineers but biologists and philosophers as well. 1, 2, 3, 4. Introduction B. 1. After a 7-year journey, the Cassini spacecraft approached the planet Saturn in June 2004. 2. The spacecraft's successful entry into orbit around the world represented the culmination of a vision that took more than 20 years to realize. 3. Launched amid controversy in October 1997, the Cassini spacecraft traveled more than 1 billion miles in its journey. 4. Despite all the public and technological challenges, the Cassini mission has been more successful than even its planners imagined. 1, 2, 3, 4. 50. Cracking the TOEFL IBT Introduction. C1. What causes hallucinations? Vivid perceptions of sights or sounds that appear quite real to the person experiencing them.